Hello, lovely listeners. Welcome to another episode and welcome, Katie. Thanks for being here.
Hi, lovely to be here.
Yeah, so I invited Katie on the podcast because she is one of the first people that jumped into Blueprint and she was emailing to, you guys might know this, that if you finish Blueprint within 30 days, you get a gift of some free coaching sessions. And in that, you shared about your experience of the Blueprint. And I was like, wow, I've never actually spoken to anyone about their experience of the Blueprint because it's a course-based, like self-learning way of delivery. And I loved what you shared, so I decided to have you on. But why don't you just introduce yourself to everyone, tell people a little bit about you, who you are, what you're doing, and even like what made you interested in Blueprint to begin with?
Yeah, so my name's Katie and my pronouns are she, her. I'm based in Cornwall in the UK, like a little kind of the boot, if you imagine the boot of the UK. I'm like right down on the end, by the sea. And I'm a mindfulness and yoga teacher. And yeah, I recently kind of have been creeping out of maternity leave and back into the world of work and kind of going into kind of full-time self-employment again. I had a kind of a job alongside running my business before I had my baby. So I've got a 15-month-year-old. So it's just chaos in my
That's why you said you
house.
were tired before.
Yeah,
Get it.
chaos. Wonderful chaos, very joyful, but yeah, but has its absolute, yeah, we're getting some tantrums at the moment, which are fun.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I saw it like how things do. Things we can choose to see things as popping up at the perfect time. And
Hmm.
I knew about you actually from I've been listening to your podcast for quite a long time and I heard you first on the Maisie Hills podcast.
Nice.
And so Maisie introduced me to you, and I've been following you ever since I heard that podcast and always been like, oh, one day I really want to do time hackers. And when I saw the blueprint pop up, I was like, oh my God, this is it. I need this in my life right now, as I'm coming back to work and trying to really use my time super wisely.
Yeah. It goes from like, I want to use my time better to like, I have to use my time better. Like, this isn't
Yeah,
optional anymore.
no,
Yeah. I get
no,
that. Been there.
yeah, yeah.
Amazing. And so you said yes, you got access. How's it been? What's changed for you, would you say, because of it?
So, I mean, really, my relationship with time,
Yeah.
yeah, like my thoughts, like
Yeah.
really, I mean, I really went in with the intention of wanting to challenge my thinking and notice my thinking around time and how I was relating to time. And I definitely achieved that.
So good. And I loved how you shared that there was like a launch you were going to do a few months out, and then you just decided to do it that month, which is literally,
Yeah. So I've had this like, you have the big idea, the dream idea that you like it's so precious and you're kind of like holding on to it for fear of putting it out there because yeah, because of fear, really. But you're like, oh, I need more time to put into this before I launch this. I need to be working, have more time with my baby in childcare. I need to have done all this and this and this. And in
all
my
these
head, I
perfect
was,
things.
yeah, everything needs to be perfect. And in my head, I was like, okay, January 2026. Before this was before Time Hackers, before the blueprint. And then I was sat kind of as I worked my way through the blueprint, I was like, does it really need to wait till then? Why, when you kind of look at that, making time responsible for our our results for what we do in our life. I think that was really where it started to the kind of the curiosity came in around, oh, maybe actually, what could I do this now? What's
I
actually
love
stopping me?
I also love what you shared there, which it wasn't like a pressure, like I should be able to do this faster. This shouldn't take as long. That curiosity of like,
Mm,
it's just such a delicious experience, an opener. And I think
mm,
sometimes people think, sorry, if we're going to do things faster, it has to come from this pressured, deadlined, intense place versus
mm.
like you doing the blueprint, right? Accessing all the modules and it just opening up something in your brain, opening up a tiny bit of possibility and
Yeah,
you being able to follow it from a place of like strength rather than from a place of force.
absolutely. I think that was so, so key. And I had, when I kind of had my first private coaching session with Emma, which was
Hmm.
amazing. I'd been noticing this pressure coming up in my work days and kind of really wanting to question that. And I think I'd got to the place in the blueprint where it talks about time on and time off and being,
Hmm.
really the importance of our time off,
Hmm.
um, for like nourishing ourselves so we can be fully there when we're in the time that we're working. And kind of she kind of together we came up with this thought, what if, a thought that had been helping me was this is possible to this is possible to create this in the amount of time that I have. And
Yes.
then what she kind of brought in when I was describing this sense of like hustle and kind of push and pressure, she's like, what about, how about this is possible when I slow down? And I was like, my mind was like, what?
What?
No. What? No. And yeah, I was like, I had to sit with that for a while.
Yes.
And when I kind of started practicing that, of course, I've got all these wonderful tools for slowing down with being, practicing mindfulness and yoga and starting experimenting with that and like, always trying to practice, do some mindfulness before I start work and napping in the day instead of like on the days where I don't have childcare. When my baby is napping, I nap instead of trying to do work in that time.
So good.
And it's like my nervous system kind of slowed down and regulated itself enough to kind of see more clearly the way forwards.
Hmm.
And it really kind of sank in a really experiential way that, oh yeah, when we're putting pressure behind ourselves and when we're thinking these thoughts, I don't have enough time, that I need to do it now, and this isn't possible, I haven't got enough. It puts us in that fight flight kind of that kind of really heightened stress response that isn't really helpful always. I mean, we absolutely can do things with a bit of that response there, but yeah, it's if we're in that place all the time, I don't think it isn't possible to do things differently because we're stuck in those habitual ways of doing things. I think when we slow down, we open up our creativity and our different ways of approaching things, which just, yeah, are really hard to access when we're putting pressure on ourselves.
This is literally it, right? When we say slow down to speed up to like the primitive brain that's
Mhm.
taught to operate from pressure and rushing, it like doesn't make logical sense. We cannot see it, which is why we have to change the brain first. So it's kind of like um you know, I had someone on recently, Sarah, who, if you guys haven't listened, go back and listen, about joining time hackers and just understanding from her brain, like seeing things that she didn't have access to seeing before, and even also the difficulty I have in selling time hackers, because it's like I'm describing something that sounds, even the blueprint, I called it 20 hours back a week, but you just like time hacked 6 months of your life. Right? Like you've just freed up 6 months of your life. You're already in, a result because you've already done the first launch. And we're going to leave, by the way, if you're interested in what Katie does, we're going to tell you at the end how you can find her work and get on the wait list for when it next opens. So it's going to have launched twice in September. That's the next one. It's going to have
Mm-hmm.
launched twice before you would have even launched once. So your January self is so much more ahead of where you would have allowed her to be. It's just so
Mm-hmm.
much more than just 20 hours back a week.
Yeah.
It's hard to say.
Yeah. It's wild. I just like and like really sitting with that now as well. It's yeah, it's wild.
It's
I can't believe
wild.
I'm here.
Yeah,
Um, but I mean, I'll be but it was challenging,
of
that it
course.
brings up it brings up all of the mental crap that is
Yes.
actually stopping you from doing it. It's not the time.
Yeah, that's why we
And
want to wait till January. Then we don't have to deal with the challenge.
yeah,
Of
and that's what
course.
was so great about the blueprint prepared me for that because you look at, working with fear and
Hmm.
anxiety and
Hmm.
decision making
Hmm.
and actually that's what's important, not the time management hacks, which there are some really amazing ones that I've been using loads, but it's not the classic
Yeah.
time management hacks that you think it might be.
And those were the very last part of the course that I
Yeah.
did. It was like, this is because I know people want some of these, so I'm going to give them some and I'm going to give them unique ones.
Hmm.
But I was like, but the real root, exactly like you said, is fear, our brain's decision making. And
Hmm.
actually, in the email, you also said about how you're making decisions faster. So can you talk us through a little bit of that, some examples, or what it feels like, or what your experience has been?
Yeah, I mean I it was definitely something that I wanted to work on, was like decision making. And when I got to that part of the blueprint, it also kind of made my brain go like, what? Like just to sit down and make like set a time to make your decisions. And what I loved about it was like getting yourself into the mindset of someone you wanted to make decisions like, someone you admired as their way of being. And I have, yeah, I had a few people there that I kind of just sat and kind of really channeled their energy and made those decisions, like this list of decisions that I needed to make from that place. And I've started doing that at the start of every, like, I've got 2 5-hour work periods a week basically at the moment. And I just sat, that's the first thing I did. And it just, the amount of time I realized that I was wasting making these decisions and toing and froing between things. It's like, right, I'm just going to do it and then I'll test it. And if it doesn't work, I can change it again. But I'm not going to sit in this indecision, or I'm going to let go of that and say, I'm not doing this right now.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I suppose an example was deciding, right, I'm going to launch this on this date. I'm going to open this community membership on the 21st on summer solstice. And then you see in your mind being like, oh, but we could do it then and then and then, and all these different options. Like, I'm going to make that decision and I'm going to deal with the consequences and learn from them. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. Exactly. I'm gonna do
Yeah.
like that's it. I think people think like you get to make a decision which feels amazing, where you avoid failure, you avoid discomfort, and like,
Mm.
and soon you realize like, no, I'm gonna feel that anyway.
Hmm.
And I'm gonna learn a lot smarter by doing. And I
Yeah.
just need to take care of myself and not beat myself up if I don't create the results that I want. But
Yeah.
again, it's like come January 2026, you either start or you're 2 launches in, you're
Hmm.
smarter, you're wiser, you're already helping people,
Yeah.
like you're in it. That's the
Hmm.
option. Like you built resilience to the discomfort. You understand that it's temporary. You understand yourself. You've like there's just so much deliciousness there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it just it really did see all of the kind of the inner critic. My inner critic went wild when I made that decision. It really did go wild. And there was some moments where I was like, I don't want to do this
Yeah.
anymore. Like, you know, worked. really regulated myself and took care of myself, as you said, and coached myself through that. Um, and had the coaching sessions, which I love that that is part of the blueprint because that was just, yeah, so helpful.
Amazing.
Um, invaluable to then follow through and support me with the decisions that I'd made. The seemingly quite, yeah, quite ballsy decisions.
Yeah, because you made them from again, you made them
Yeah,
from what you wanted, not what you have or what your past has been,
exactly.
which is where most of us are making decisions from, which is why we're like on the same treadmill.
Exactly. But yeah, like, but I've worked, like, I feel like I've really seen a lot of kind of, and worked with um, a lot of really unhelpful thoughts that I didn't know were there. And you don't know that they're there until you test them and you do put yourself out there and risk failing. And to change your relationship with failure, I think that was what was really great about the encouragement to kind of that it's okay to fail. That's how we learn. That's how we move forwards.
Hmm.
And yeah, I think that that's absolutely so, so important to be
Hmm.
okay with this
Hmm.
might not work.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I'm gonna not beat myself up if that happens, but I'm gonna deal with the inner critic that will come up and I'm gonna love myself anyway through it. I think I kept reminding myself, it's like my partner and my baby and my mum
Yes.
don't care if this doesn't
Yes.
work. They're still gonna
That's the
love
great thing about
me.
having a baby. Like, you don't care.
No, my baby doesn't care. But but she cares if I have more time with her.
Yes, but and also it's like, even think about the change. I always think about this, the changes that you've made now in understanding time, decision making, failure, your brain, and how your baby now gets to grow up with you understanding that for the rest of her life.
It's so cool.
It's
Mm-hmm.
wild.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think about that with my son now, the version of me that I was always late, always rushing, always had a million things, always like juggling my phone or whatever. And now, like, he gets to come home and I'm like, hi, and like, just he doesn't know he thinks I'm just waiting for him to come
Yeah.
home. But like the morning, it's like his nursery I can drop off at 8. He's in most days at 9:15. Even my mum's like, do you not feel bad for him if he's like the last one in? I'm like, well, but we get to spend the morning together, and we, like, he wants to play anyway. So I think it's
Yeah.
actually great. So it's just like those differences that I never would have conceived
Mm-hmm.
years ago, that I didn't think about, that now I'm like, I see the repercussions of them.
Yeah.
So I think it's absolutely just so powerful. And even, coming back from maternity leave and being like, I'm working 5 hours twice a week, like, even that you're building this and now you get to apply this. It's just powerful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it's a
Really,
dream.
really glad I made that decision to join.
Yes. Did anything almost stop you? Were you like hovering for a minute, or were you like, no, I'm in?
Yeah, I think definitely there's always kind of self-doubt and, the investment of money and but I think I've listened to lots of podcasts around from you and from Maisie Hill around, the value of these investments that we make in ourselves and kind of just trusting in our ability to get what we need from those investments
Yes.
and to see the bigger picture
Mm-hmm.
and the what how much time it's going to pay back and that's priceless.
Mm-hmm. I
Yeah.
love this because I think that I always think the investment is the first. This was my experience in investing and coaching my first time as well. Is like, that's what changes your brain. That's what teaches you.
Hmm.
It's very rare that someone joins our programs and they're like, it was the easiest decision. I just found you. And like, no, you have to, knowing how to move forward with doubt and make
Yeah,
a decision that feels scary is actually part of building that muscle.
hugely.
Um,
Hmm.
so I think, again, it's like when we think, oh, I'll launch when everything feels amazing, you were already building the muscle of being able to launch with the challenge the moment you were able to make the decision with some doubt as well.
I love how you say you only need like 1% belief in
Yeah.
yourself to do something. You don't need to be 100% ready.
Yes.
100%, yeah, all of our ducks in a row. We don't need that, and that's really freeing.
I'm
Um,
not even 100% ready. Like what is 100% ready? I think what I found in this personal development world was this idea of like this perfect belief. And so we were getting a
mhm,
lot of like coaches and mindset practitioners joining time hackers, and I saw this problem come up of like, I just need better belief and better belief. And I was like, if you think you need better belief,
mhm,
you're going to need better belief. Like you're going to keep solving this and spinning this thread. Um, I don't think I've ever had perfect belief in anything, but again, we get to choose what we make that mean. So I'm with you. I think for anyone listening, even if like there's one thing you take from this episode, take that like you get to have 1% believe we're this will come out I think later, but we're currently opening for our next round of certification, and the time hacker DM me and was like, I've got 1% belief. And someone else was like, sorry, she posted it in the community and someone commented underneath that was like, I had 1% belief and now I've just certified. Like he just
mm,
gives us permission to be where we are instead of working so long towards something that we'll
yeah.
never get to anyway. I like I said, I still don't feel ready.
We don't need to.
And you don't need to. You often,
We're human.
yeah, you get to be human. You often feel ready after the event, and by the time you're there, you're already like for you, like you're ready to launch. Well, you probably after you launched, you were like, oh, now I'm ready to launch, and now you get to do it
Yeah.
again.
Yeah. Yeah. Learning by putting things into action
Learning, yes.
rather than trying to prepare to within an inch of my life. It's just, yeah, that has been, yeah, a big pattern, I think, for me that I feel like I'm shifting hugely through this
Yeah.
process.
Like over preparing and over planning.
Yeah, big time.
Hmm. If you could like quantify in any way how this has like impacted you in terms of time, maybe on like a weekly basis or monthly basis, or like what do you think like what do you think it's really changed for you?
I just noticed that I'm just giving things a go and getting them done quicker than I
Yeah.
usually would. It's like setting up the community page for this membership that I've launched. I was like in my head, I noticed these thoughts that it was going to be really complicated and take a lot of time. And I was like, well, maybe I'll just give myself half an hour and see where I get to. And I did it. And it was so
You know.
much easier than I thought. And things like that just keep happening because I'm willing to try and do it messy and imperfectly and give it a
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
because I've shifted that relationship with failure and seeing those thoughts around time and making time responsible for doing things when it's that actually isn't the case.
Mm.
Loved that, like that mindset shift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, and just I don't know if this is related, but I'm like it's like I've had like having people around for dinner and letting the house be messy, like not feeling like I've got to spend loads of time tidying up and like just things like that. I'm finding easier, which is so having more connection with friends and not letting the house being chaos stop me from enjoying that connection.
You know what? When I first launched Time Hackers, I remember there was a very first early call. Um, And this was one of the things that a few people shared was like, I'm leaving dishes in my sink. Like, and they had like older kids, teenagers, and they're like, I even actually, yeah, even someone in our last certification shared, like, it is a thing where it's like, again, if you think about it, it's like visually we need everything to be perfect, but internally with an internal cost. And I think there's a flip where
Mm,
suddenly we're like, internally, I'm taking care of myself. So externally, pays the price or whatever. Like
yeah,
there's a shift happening there where it's like what's actually important versus what's aesthetically important.
yeah,
I love that.
absolutely.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Is there anything you would say to anyone who was like thinking of getting it, who's like, oh, it sounds interesting, or I would love to, but I don't know, I'm scared or whatever. Like, is there anything that you would want them to know?
I just think it doesn't actually take, if you're thinking it takes loads of time to do it, it doesn't, because it's been engineered to be really simple. Like that's something that I loved. It's like 30 simple videos, and you just really set up for success from the get-go, from the very first videos. I think even just watching that first video, like around like how to approach the whole course, is worth it. Like, because I use that all the time, like all of those things that I learn. And yeah, I just don't think you can put a price on learning to relate differently with time. It's it's a part of all of our lives, not just our work. It's our relationships. It's everything. It has such a massive impact on your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. And thank you for being here and tell people a little bit about you and how they can connect with you and about your program. I know it's on waitlist now, but it is opening up in September. So if you are listening at a later date.
Yeah. So I have created a membership community called Rested Beings, which also this name kind of really clicked into place when I was doing the blueprint, because of this slowing down, like, and really how important that is. And this is a supportive community where I really give you the practices and the tools to experientially slow down in your life through mindfulness and mindful yoga, and connecting with support for doing this, because we're moving against a very strong, fast moving current in society that does try to make us go faster, do more, keep at this crazy pace that isn't very healthy, or it has a big effect on our nervous system and our lives. And this is support to actually say, actually, I don't want to do that anymore. I'm gonna slow down. I'm gonna make space for this being, and being present and being alive, instead of
Mm-hmm.
in my head all the time, to come
Mm-hmm.
back home to my body and
Mm-hmm.
this really precious life.
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah.
good. So we'll leave the link to that in the show notes for anyone listening that wants to find out more. And thank you for being here and sharing your experience. And for anyone listening, we'll also leave the link to the blueprint. I can't guarantee it'll definitely be open. But if not, maybe there'll be a wait list or something. Or you can always email the team if you desperately want in, so that you can also get things done in 30 days instead of in 6 months, like Katie did, which is phenomenal. Thank you everyone for listening and have a wonderful week. Bye.